Oh shit, is that dust? God damn it. Every single time, this chair always sounds like I rip ass whenever I sit down. And that's why, before any of my videos, I never had any clips of me sitting down here because it always sounded like I ripped ass. But, anyway, hello there. It has been almost 2 years at this point, but this is the point where I would usually say hello and welcome to another episode of the Duke It Out Wrestling Podcast, where I talk about events from the past, present, or future in the world of professional wrestling. But for this specific podcast, anything that's going on in the wrestling world that you guys would actually give a shit about is not really what I'm going to be talking about today. It's mainly discussing why I have been away for a year and a half, close to 2 years. The last video that I made that remained public was the ranking of SummerSlam 2024. And I think after that, I made one list video. Yeah, it was the best pay-per-views outside of the US for WWE. And then that video got taken down for a copyright issue. So after that, I haven't made anything since. And there's a lot of different reasons as to why I stopped making videos on the Duke It Out YouTube channel. And the first big reason that really developed it was burnout. I was getting very drained of the entire video making process, especially because for a lot of the larger wrestling YouTube channels, whether it's a big crew like Wrestle Talk or Cultaholic, or someone having their own solo channel like Santi's app, they still have crews. Like, I know that they've mentioned that they have editors and people that also help them out with their video process. But while I was making those videos from the span of 2022 to 2024, I was basically doing everything on my own. My father was able to help me build up the set and get me together with all of the lights and equipment. But when it came to the actual making, writing, and editing process of all of it, I was doing everything. And I was just becoming way too much of a perfectionist, especially when it came to the editing, because I probably could have stayed on the same grind if I had just edited some videos a bit less. I could have continued that huge passion for it. But I just let the burnout further and further sink me to where there were so many different times where I was wanting to sit down in this chair, record the camera, set up everything else, and talk about my favorite matches of either the end of 2024 or 2025. And at the peak of John Cena's retirement tour, I was even thinking of doing a list of the best John Cena matches, maybe even doing a top 50 for that down the line. But then I just kept not doing it. And burnout was one of the big reasons for that. And another reason is simple laziness. I could have easily probably asked for help or guidance throughout my struggle of really starting to burn out through making the videos constantly, especially when I was releasing them 2 to 3 times a week. I could have tried to reach out for more help, and I simply didn't. And then another thing was I was also trying to figure out what other patterns I would like to take on in my life, whether it was in the wrestling world or not, but mainly it was in the wrestling world. Because around the time when I'd stopped making videos, I was also really down on myself and how I looked, my appearance, my diet. So I was also really starting to get in the process of just going to the gym more, eating healthier, just getting in better shape. And I was even sort of thinking that for me to go to wrestling school somewhere down the line. It's always been something that's been in the back of my head, especially I think for almost any wrestling fan, especially if you watched wrestling as a kid, you always had some moment of dreaming that you would be walking down an entrance ramp at a WrestleMania. You kind of can't be a fan if you don't imagine that in some way, shape, or form. But also I'd also had many interests in maybe working as a manager, a referee, or maybe doing commentating instead of just talking about wrestling on my YouTube channel. I could actually broadcast actual wrestling matches live and in the flesh. That would be incredible. And just to work in the professional wrestling field is something I've really recollected that I would really love to do for the rest of my life. But it's just the pattern of which way to go. I've still been super conflicted. either conflicted or scared as hell to get in the ring, which that's another definite big one because I'm definitely nowhere near in shape for it. But at the same time, when you have this certain passion for something for so long, and you're just kind of sitting back and not doing anything about it, you're just having to think to yourself, okay, regardless of how scared you are, you got to try and at least do something. And I think regardless, whatever was holding me back, I was thinking that nothing was gonna move forward until I, regardless, went back to making videos again. Because at the same time, while there are plenty of confidence issues that I could have before or still have, because while I was gone, it was especially a wake-up call for me on how bad my anxiety was and how much more I needed to work on just my mental health rather than only my physical health. And it was a very humbling and just draining year, especially throughout 2025. There was a lot of really high ups and some of the lowest lows that I think I've had mentally in my entire life. So it was a I was indecisive for months on what I would have wanted to do that day, let alone what I would have wanted to do for my life. But I think stepping back into here is the right way to go, regardless if I actually do try to train to be a manager or a referee or a commentator or do something more in the wrestling journalism field, because I really have not branched myself out enough as I could have. Like when I was on the Jericho cruises or when I would travel out of state to go to other wrestling shows, I could have put myself a bit more out there, but always let my insecurities and my fears just hold me back. And I gotta stop doing that, which I know which something that a lot of people would also agree with. It's much easier said than done, but this is the right kind of process I figured would be the right way to go. And so while this isn't a typical Duke It Out Wrestling podcast episode, I figured I was really trying to decide on what type of video I really wanted to come back to, like what type of video I would want to come back with. And for a second, I was thinking maybe I should do one of my big extravagant list videos. Like, for example, I was talking about doing a top 50 John Cena matches. Maybe I should come back doing that. But at the same time, even though I don't really have a lot of subscribers on this YouTube channel, I figured it'd still be owed for maybe the one or two people who might have stuck around and kind of wondered, hey, that Duke guy, where the hell did he go? I'm still here. I'm hopefully going to be maintaining the video schedule that I was at almost 2 years ago, and that the future will just remain brighter from there, even when there are some days that are simply not great. And regardless, what another great thing to come back into a certain avenue like doing this, even though there's so much that has happened in wrestling since I've last made a video, there's still so much more that's going to be happening and is currently happening. Like at the time that I'm filming this video, Monday Night Raw hasn't aired yet, and we don't know with this AJ Styles tribute if that's going to lead to him making in-ring return, at least having one last match at WrestleMania, or if all of us can maybe keep our fingers crossed with the hope that he may go to AEW for one night to fight Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay. But there's so many different realms in the wrestling field that I would love to dive back into and discuss on this YouTube channel, whether it's in the style of videos I was making in the past from pay-per-view rankings or the We Need to Talk About videos, or something completely new. I kind of just decided to make this video on a whim and just really kind of explain what was really holding me back from making another video, along with what was really holding me back from stepping forward in life itself. So I am really excited to dive back into this YouTube channel, and I hope that it continues to get stronger and stronger as time builds up. And while I haven't really maintained trying to think of the right word for it. And I haven't really maintained much faith to people that I could be consistently making content, because I have taken breaks even when I've taken shorter breaks than the one I currently did. I remembered in 2022 and 2023, usually around like the fall to winter was kind of when I'd stop making videos as frequently. And so I just needed anytime that itch comes around, to kind of just slap it off as much as I possibly can. But this was a very jumbled mess, and I feel like that kind of was the way it was supposed to be, because so many different times when I was making podcasts in the past, I would be talking about something or whatever topic I was talking about for a solid 20 minutes, and I would fumble my words in one part and then start from the beginning because I'm a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I'm just able to not really worry about the flow of this, and to just kind of get out there what was holding me back from coming back. And now that I am back, you're going to see more of the same stupid shit that you were seeing before, but even better. So if you watch this all the way through, thank you so much for listening, and please look forward to some more great wrestling content. I'm Duke. I'll see you around.